Alright, ladies and gents, I'm Sam, and last time we left off with this right here. Alright, so in today's tutorial, we want to start working on the actual overview screen, which is basically this box right here. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start building. So we'll build these boxes first. But actually, you know what? There's something I want to fix real quick. So you see how these shadows are a little broad here, and in our app they are just, well, there, but they don't look quite as good as these. Alright, so the good thing is, let's just close this one real quick. The good thing is the shadow box widget that I made has a property called elevation that I didn't tell you about. So we can fix that problem really simply by going to Shadowbox. Like, these are our three widgets: the search icon, the notification icon, and the avatar. So in here you can change elevation, and elevation can be a number between 1 and 4. Alright, I'm just going to set the highest one possible. Alright, and try that. So let's put those in there for elevation, and then if we run this now, you'll see that our shadows look better now because the elevation is bigger now. So these buttons are a little higher than they were before. Alright, so now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and start building these items right here. So looking at this, I can safely say, for example, that this is going to take, let's say it takes for about 40% of the width of the available height, sorry. And then if this takes 40% and this takes 30%, then that's 7, is it? Then this one can take 30% as well, which doesn't seem right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this 50%, this 30%, and this one 20%. Alright, so let's go back to our code, and now that we're working on a new screen, let's go into our views, into our home folder, and this is how I usually do it. I create 3 files: our init.py file, init.py, another one, and this one is going to be where our code lives. So there's the home.py file, and lastly the home.kv file, like that. Alright, so in here we're going to build our home widget. So that's basically this whole box right here. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to change the orientation first, and I'm going to set this to vertical. I'm going to change the padding to 8. Alright, for now let's just leave that there, and then let's go to our home.py file, and I'm just going to generate a Kivy widget real quick. So this is going to point to views home and home.kv. So we're basically loading the kv file that we're working on, which is this one. Alright, so that's it. This should be home. Alright, so basically we are going to write our logic here, and then all the layout stuff we're going to write it there, and this line is the one that tells Kivy to check for styles for this class in this file. Okay, now that that is done, I'm actually going to need the clock, so import the clock like that. Alright, and then finally, for us to easily import this class into our main file right here, we're going to go to home init.py, and we're simply going to say from home, which is this file, we want to import that home class. So this is basically letting Python and our program here that this home class can be used outside our module. So what we actually did here in Python, we call this a package. So this is actually a module on its own, so it can be imported anywhere in your program and outside your program. Alright, so now that we have our home right there, if let's just test this real quick. I'm going to put a label here and just say text is equal to home widget. Alright, and the color for this, I'm just going to say app.colors.primary, like that. Alright, now if we go to our main.py, our main.kv, sorry, and then in here we then import our home widget. So home, and where are we importing it from? From views.home.home. So this is basically saying go to views and in views you'll find a folder called home, which is this one, and then you'll find an init.py file with a class called home. Just import that one. Alright, now that that is done, we are going to go to our overview here, which is that screen we want to work on, and we're just going to set home in here, and I'm just going to give us an ID of home, like that, or rather overview. Nah, actually home is cool. Alright, so now if we run this, we should see that home widget right there, which means we've successfully imported that widget there. Alright, so now we can close this out because we won't need it. We will definitely not need views.py, and we are done with the init.py file. So the only files we're going to be working on is home.py and home.kv. Okay, so now that that is done, let's add some spacing there, and I'm just going to add 8 again. So now if we go back, we are going to start working with our boxes. So 1 box, 2, 3. All right, and remember what I said, box layout, and this one is going to have spacing of dp8, and like I said, I'm going to give this a size hint y value of 0.2. Alright, now I'm just going to duplicate this 3 times and give this one a value of 5 and the other one of 3. Change this orientation to vertical, and let's see. Alright, looks like that will be it. Okay, so now let's start working on these. So I'm just going to close these ones because now we want to work on this top part first. Alright, so real quick, let's go ahead and add our shadow box. So you might be wondering why we're not importing this shadow box anywhere here. That's because in Kivy, basically in KV, all of your styles are basically compiled to one large style. So we imported it up here. We've already imported it up here, which means it's available for all the widgets that are inside this main.kv. Okay, so that's pretty convenient. So anywho, I am going to give this a radius, and I am going to give this a radius of about 8, like that. And then going back, I'm going to give it an elevation, and the elevation, let's give it let's start with 2 for now. And then checking this, we have 3 boxes, so now we can just basically copy this 3 times, save that, and let's run it just to see that it's looking pretty good. But it's pretty too wide, but that's just because the screen is wide on my end. So anyway, I would say we are on track. Yeah, we're missing a lot of padding here, but that's all good. We should change the spacing, so I'm just going to change this to ×2 of what it's currently at. Alright, and yeah, I like that. And the other thing is this, the padding, I'm going to switch it up to 14. Alright, let's run this. Okay, looking good. Now the other thing is, let's basically be done with the shadows. Alright, so change this to 14. Change this to 14, and then I'm going to copy this shadow box, go into our large one, which is going to contain the graph, and I'm going to leave the elevation as it is, and then go here, and yep, we have another shadow box there. So let's paste that one in there. Alright, and now we should have our basic layout of our widgets. So let's change the spacing real quick because it's pretty messy. So this will be this one. Let's change it to the same spacing for everything. Alright, and now we have a basic idea of how this is going to look. Alright, and then let's go here. We need this box, right? So we need this space, and we forgot about it. So let's fix that real quick. So the way we're going to fix this is on our home widget here. We are going to create a box layout. Alright, and we're going to give it spacing of 16 again. And then what we're actually going to do is on this box layout, we don't need orientation to be vertical here. All right, we want the orientation to be vertical here instead. All right, and what we're going to do is actually take all of this and tab it in so it's inside this box. All right, so this box should have a size hint x of let's give it 7. All right, and then create another box layout here, give it a size in x of 0.3. So now at the top of everything we have these boxes, and the orientation is horizontal for this, so we have 2 horizontal boxes. All right, so now if we run this, we should have that extra space there. Okay, but I think it might be too big. Should I take away, let's just take away 5, make it 0.25 like that. And just to see how this looks, I'm just going to add a shadow box there. All right, and yeah, now it's looking pretty much like what we have here. All right, cool. So go back to our code, and I'm just going to, actually for now I'm just going to leave this shadow box here. All right, let's go back to our stuff here, and let's start working on these widgets right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print screen here, and I am just going to take this. All right, I'm going to save this on my desktop, so just save that there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio Code, and then I'm going to open that screenshot. Is it this one? All right, then I'm going to put it to the left like that. So I don't want to be changing screens like that. I just want to look at this and know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go back here, and first thing I see is padding. So padding, let's make it 8. Okay, and then looking at this, orientation is vertical, and let's add some spacing in there, dp8. And then what we're going to do is add a box layout, and this box layout is going to be the one that contains this stuff right there. Okay, so that's the box layout, and then we need another one. This box layout is going to have a size hint y of none and a height of, I'm going to give it 24 for now. 24 for now, and spacing of dp8. Alright, so now we're just going to get that text label, and the text for this is going to be is that end of the month, end of the month, like that. All right, and then the color is going to be app.colors.gray dark, like that. And then finally the size int x for this is going to be 0.7. Then let's just copy, actually let's change the fonts first. So font name is app.fonts.body, and then font size, of course. So font size is going to app.fonts.size.h6. Alright, now we can copy this, put it there, and what else can we do? Let's change the size hint x of this is going to be 0.7. This is then going to be 0.3, and I'm going to change this to plus 8.5%, like that. And then app.colors.primary here, and then this is going to be subheading, and for this h6 should be good. Alright, let's check what we have so far. So end of the month, 8.5%. I'd say we are pretty much there. Padding, let's increase this to 14. Alright, so the bottom part is done. Now we come to the top part. So on the top part, the icons, if you notice here, the icons are bigger than the rest of them. So what I did is I added the bigger icons for those three icons. So if you go to icons, you'll see I have IG, bag, LG, people LG, and trend LG. So I'll leave the assets in the description so you can copy them if you want. But like I encouraged you before, try to use your own icons. But if you want to use these ones, then I'll have them in the description so you can copy them and put them, and you can put them in here. Okay, so now we can go back here and let's add that spacing in there. And I'm going to add pretty big spacing this time. 14 is cool. And okay, that should be good. All right, I'm just going to cheat again and use an icon button for this. And the source for this is going to be, what is this? IC trend LG, I believe, .png. And this is in assets, icons, IC trend LG. That should be it. Okay. And the size hint y, size and x for this is going to be none. And the width for this is going to be self.height, like that. And then let's add a box layout. And I'm pretty sure it won't look as good, but we are getting there, as you can see. So now what we're left to do is to add the other stuff. Alright, so what we need to add is, I'm just going to go here and add that anchor layout in there to make sure this is centered. So let's put that there and then move this up there. Okay, so the width and the height are equal for this. Should be good. Alright, looking good. So now let's add these two text components here. So go down here, change the orientation of this to vertical because they are going top down. Alright, and add some spacing in there, maybe dp8, and text. And the text for this text is revenue. And font name, you should be familiar with this by now. This is app.fonts, Jesus, app.fonts.body. Font size is app.fonts.size dot h3. Let's try h3. Alright, color is app.colors dot gray dark, and that should basically be it. So let's copy that, and I just want to check the font size real quick, so I'm just going to run this, and surprisingly that looks pretty good. So now we deal with the other one. So $28, that is a lot of bucks. 70 kind of money is this? Anyway, 2817.45, and this is going to be heading, and the color for this is, do we have a black? We should. And this is, let's put it at H2, run this, and boom, looking good. Not good enough. The one color we want here is not black, it's secondary. Cool. Alright, it's done. So that one is done. And I think I didn't notice this, but I think there's a black background there. So yeah, maybe we should do it too. Okay, so this is done. Obviously this whole thing is done, and that back outline is on text here. So we can fix that problem by simply making a box layout and moving this up there, shifting you in, and canvas dot before. But before we go there, we need to pad this a bit, so maybe 2 and maybe 4 that side. then canvas color RGBA value of that light color. Actually, I'm just going to cheat a bit. I am going to make it x for x in app.colors.primary app.colors.primary uh, this is definitely not gonna work, so we'll have to fall back to what was it? Let's see, main.kv. Alright, let's go down to, where's that color? I can't find it. If state is equal to normal, else this is the color we want. I believe that's the color we want. So anyway, we'll just RGBA value of that, and then rounded rectangle. The position is self.pose. The size is self.size. The radius is self.height divided by 2. Alright, let's see what we got. Okay, I'd say it's looking pretty good. What we need to do is obviously change this edge align to center, and I'd say this one is pretty big, so 2.5. Give this the rest of it, and boom. Alright, so that's done. So now all we have to do is copy this goodness. Like my friend, but the answer, you know, put that in there, put that in there, and what is that thing? So IC bag and IC people, cool. So all we have to do is find the last one, which is this, and people. Did I call it IC people? I think I called it IC users. Oh, IC people, cool. And then this one is IC bag. Alright, now if we run this, you will notice, whew, too big, Jesus. Alright, looking too big, but not to worry at all. The problem is I may have forgotten these guys right there, so let's copy that. Let's close this shadow box. Let's paste that. Close this shadow box. Paste that. Simple enough. And boom, we are done with the top things. So now we move on to this one. Know what? I actually don't think we're done at all. Actually, looks pretty good enough. Alright, let's move on to the other stuff. So, what's next? Oh, we're supposed to change. So this is orders and customers. So this is customers. And how many? 262. 473. Done with that. Let's move on to orders. How many orders do we have? 2,473. 2,473. Alright, on this just to be sure, and I'd say it's looking pretty good. So let's change the last things. So this month and new user this month. So this is this month. And this is new users this month. New users this month. And I am sorry, but I need to change my jam. New users this month. Let's be running this. new users this month, and I'd say we're pretty much done with this. All right. So now let's deal with the graph. So I know why my Spotify isn't working, but anyway, it's all good. All right, so now we need to add, we're first going to add this top part before we add the graph. So this is going to be a box layout and another box layout. Cool. So then let's close this out. Now we are dealing with this box right there. All right, so first things first is orientation is vertical. Spacing, obviously. 8 is cool, so let's add that first box layout and let's give it some spacing of dp8, and size int y is going to be none, and the height for this box is I'm going to give it 24. I'd say it's pretty small. You know what, okay, changed my mind. Let's give it 64. All right, and what we're going to do, instead of making this orientation vertical, instead of making this a horizontal orientation, yeah, we're definitely going to make it an orientation of vertical. So box layout is that. Okay, spacing is there, and this one is going to have an orientation of vertical, just like that, and then spacing again of 8, and a size hint x of, I'd say 0.8. Let's copy this, and we're supposed to create this small widget right there. So anchor layer, and size int x of 0.2, just like that, and that's it. So now let's just add these two labels right there. So on this box layout, let's add text. The text for this box layout is going to be recent 1 week out sale. Recent 1 week out sale, just like that. Font size is app.fonts.size.h6. the color is app.colors.secondary. Yep, looking pretty good. Size int y is none. The height is, let's just make it something like 18. Copy this, paste it down there, make it take the rest of the height, change you to something like h4. Font name is app.fonts.heading. Definitely change this to h2. Copy this over there, change it to subheading. Yeah, subheading. All right, and $40,000, 386.02, because why not? All right, see what we got. 37 blah blah blah, 40,000. This is looking okay so far, but I'd say this is too big, so 54. Let's check that again. Still too big. All right, 42 should be cool. Let's see what 42 has. Fantastic. That's it. So you'll see it's at the bottom there. That's because there's no other widgets to occupy the rest of the space. So right there, we're going to add a box layer, and we're just going to call this graph. All right, so now that should push the rest of the widgets to the top. Great. So just real quick, yep, the only thing that's left is the graph now. So we need some padding to this shadow box. Jesus, 12. Awesome. Let's run this. and now it's looking pretty good. So now we need to add that graph that I was talking about. So to add the graph, we are going to need another widget. So I have a widget that I usually use for graphs like this, and it's this one. Okay, Kivy PLT. I'll leave that that asset on the description so you guys can copy it and use it in here. So anyway, copy that and just copy it to the widgets directory of our app. All right, and then we should have it show up right there. Okay, so now we can go to home.py, and if you install the requirements like I told you to, then you should have numpy, matplotlib, and scipy in there. All right, so what we're going to do is in here, we're first going to import numpy as np. All right, and then let's import from scipy dot interpolate. All right, from scipy dot interpolate, we want to import make interp, just say make interpolate spline like that, and then we are now going to import matplotlib as mpl, and then import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, like that. And then finally, let's import our widget. So from widgets.kivy plt, we want to import the matplotlib figure widget. All right, that's the one we're going to use to draw our graph. So then in here, I am then going to say clock.schedule once self.render. All right. No. So we're going to run this render function when we initialize our home widget. All right. So then I'll just say define render, and we don't care about the second argument. So render is the one we're going to use to basically draw our graph. All right. So I'm just going to define the x values for the graph. So horizontally, this is going to go, let's just create for x in range. All right, and this is going to go up to 7. So these values are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then I'm going to create the labels for x, and if you check, these are the values. So Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, going up to Friday. So I'm just going to leave the first one blank because that's the 0 value, which will never be there. So in here, I'm just going to say Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Jesus, I hate the manual work like this. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, finally Friday. All right, and then for y is basically the points that make up this graph. All right, so I'm just going to make some random points here, like maybe 0, say 8, I don't know, 16, 14 maybe, 12, 9, and let's finish big. So 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's it. So we have 7 values for x and y. That is cool. So finally, let's just try to draw this chart. So I'm just going to say our chart here is matplotlib.figure. I want to draw a subplot. All right, so matplotlib.figure, and fig size. Yep. Let's just make this 2 2 like that. All right, and then finally, I am just going to create our plot. Like the plot is the one that's going to be plotted by Kivy. So this is going to be our matplotlib figure widget that we put in there. Okay, and this just needs the matplotlib chart that you want to plot. All right, and then remember on our home.kv here, we made this graph widget. I'm actually going to add some padding into it. So padding let's put 8. So this graph is the one that's going to contain our graph here. All right, so I'm just going to say self.ids.graph.clear widgets. So this is just a habit of mine so that we never have two graphs crashing that widget. Okay, so self.ids.graph again, and let's just add our plot in there. All right, so let's just test if this works. Let's run that, and looks like we don't have anything. Interesting. Let's see where we could have possibly gone wrong. Oh yeah, we actually have the plot, but we didn't plot the values into it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So chart.gca.plot, and we want to plot xy. All right, so let's run this. And yeah, okay, so we have our plot right there, as you can see it, but it looks nothing like this. So let's smooth this out, and this is where our NumPy and SciPy come in. All right, so what we're going to do is, before we plot this, actually, let's leave that there because we want to deal with these top widgets first. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say xy spline, and this is going to be that make interpolation spline, and it's going to take x and y like that. All right, now let's calculate our values. So I'm just going to say x1 is equal to np.linearspace of x dot min, x dot max, and 500. So what we need to do is convert our two lists here into NumPy arrays, and this is simple. We just do np.array and also convert this to an np array like that. All right, so now with these we can access the min and the max values like that. All right, so let's deal with the y, and this is going to xy spline of x1 like that, and that should basically smooth things out for us. So let's go back here, and instead of x1, yeah, let's do that. Let's run this. All right, so now our curve is smoother, as you can see, but so now we need to just clean it up a bit, okay, because it doesn't look really that good. Okay, so let's go to here. So chart.gca, and the first thing I want to do is remove the borders. All right, so this is going to be the spine, and the top spine is the one I want to remove first. So set this visible to false, obviously false. All right, and right and left. All right, let's check what we have so far. Let's see, where could I have possibly gone wrong here? Chart.gca.spine tab.set visible. So obviously we have a problem. Let me just check. There's no attribute spine. Spines instead of spine. Let's run this. Alright, so those are gone. Alright, so what else? Let's change this to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and all that good stuff. Alright, so what I'm going to do is right here, before we actually plot this, chart.gca dot, and let's set the x labels, and the x labels are going to be our x labels. Pretty simple, huh? So let's run this. All right, self dot, it's actually x tick labels, like that. All right, let's run this again. And Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, so we are cool there. We are cool with our graph. So I would say at this point we basically are done with this widget. So let's see. Let's just compare. All right, so we'll probably have to clean it up a bit because, you know, it doesn't look as good. But yeah, so for now I think we will stop here, all right, because this has gone on quite long enough. So yeah, this is what we have so far. In the next one, we'll probably clean this graph off a bit and then deal with the bottom stuff. And then on the last tutorial, we'll deal with the left stuff. So if thanks for watching. If you have any problems whatsoever, leave them in the comment section. Otherwise, please subscribe and like this video. If you did, I will see you in the next one.